Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share a few thoughts on this, the saddest day of the Jewish year, Tisha B'Av. It's a day which is difficult for us to really identify with because the Beit HaMikdash was a long time ago. And not only that, most of us don't really have a true appreciation of what Jewish life was like when we had the Beit HaMikdash. It was transformed. The Beit HaMikdash was central to all that was important in Judaism. Our calendar revolved around the Beit HaMikdash. Going into the Beit HaMikdash was the ultimate spiritual experience. Difficult for us to relate to that. So how are we supposed to respond to Tisha B'Av? Perhaps one of my favourite stories about Tisha B'Av, and the one that I find most useful, is as follows. We've all seen the pictures at the end of the Six-Day War when the troops ascend to the Kotel. Those moving pictures, blowing of the shofar, and the troops embracing the walls of the Kotel wall, the stones. The story is told how there were two soldiers who stood back. They saw their comrades at the wall, they saw their comrades crying, they saw their comrades hugging the stones. These two soldiers had come from a secular environment, and in all honesty, it meant nothing to them. It was some kind of monument, some kind of historical relic. They knew nothing about what its significance was. And yet the soldiers with whom they'd been fighting shoulder to shoulder in such difficult combat in those narrow streets of Yerushalayim were up against their walls, totally overwhelmed with emotion and tears. Suddenly one of the two soldiers begins crying. His friend turns around to him and says to him in Hebrew, Lama ata bocher? Why are you crying? His friend says, Ani bocher, she'ani lo bocher. I am crying that I am not crying. I can see, my friends, that this means so much to them, yet it means nothing to me. Clearly I am missing out. Clearly there's something empty inside of me. Clearly I am deficient in some respect. I'm crying that I'm not crying, that I don't understand enough of what the Kotel means to feel the power and the overwhelming joy of this moment. And I sometimes feel to myself on Tisha B'Av, maybe at least we could get to a level, Shani bocher, shani lo bocher. We should cry that we can't cry about the Beit HaMikdash. We should feel a sense of pain, anguish, sorrow, that we don't feel enough of an anguish, pain and sorrow about the Beit HaMikdash. At least that would indicate to us that we're distant, that we're detached, and that there's something missing in our lives. And at least for that, we can mourn for that which is missing, even if we don't appreciate the full depth of it. If we achieve that on Tisha B'Av, even for 5 minutes, that would be a meaningful Tisha B'Av. Ani bocher, shani lo bocher. Let's hope this is the last Tisha B'Av of Jewish history, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, restores Klal Yisrael to its former glory and peace to the land. Thank you.
Hashem.